Hi friends and welcome. Barb Pask here. Going to paint for you tonight on an 8x10 Centurion panel. Went to the grocery store and bought some fresh sunflowers. Let's see if I can swing you around and show you. And I put them in a ball jar, which I love to do. They look a little blown out to you, but they're very rich and yellow. I like sunflowers. Most people do. I think they're happy, aren't they? So again, this is an 8x10 Centurion panel. Nice and fairly affordable. Check them out if you haven't. They make an oil primed and an acrylic primed, so you have a choice. So I think we'll just start off and sketch them in with paint. I'm going to use my view catcher to help me set up my composition. If you're not familiar with this, it slides and you adjust it to the size panel. It says they're not all on here, but the 8x10. I use 8x10s, 11x14, 16x20. Those three all are the same format. I also like 5x7s. But I mean, I'll paint any size, square, but this is probably my favorite. I have to admit, you probably know that. Anyway, you slide it to the 8x10, and you can decide if you want to go vertical or horizontal. I'm going vertical because it's a tall object with the jar and the sunflowers. So what we'll do is we'll just thin down some paint. Some transparent red and some ultramarine blue, and I'm going to look at it through here and set up my composition. I don't want to dead center the jar. I'd like a little more breathing space on this side. And I got 3 blooms. The other one's going to be right over here at the edge, and it's not all the way down. And you can use this, you can look through this and put your brush in there and say, okay, what's hidden dead center this way and what's centered this way? You know, you can look through there and, you know, if you don't move it and kind of tell, like as I'm looking at this, and I put this in the middle, which would be about here, the jar is above there. So, helpful to know. And I tried to put it so you could see the center of one of them. There's one in back, an odd number of 3. And I try to keep my sketch real loose, you know, so I'm not real committed to anything. I don't always make much of a sketch, you know, it depends on what I'm painting. A lot of green in through here, and again some of the yellow. And I've hit this with a light, like I always do for a still life. Okay. Still lifes are just a great lesson in painting what you see. You know, harder than you think, and a lot of people aren't that good at it, but try to do that. I mean, see, this is pretty good sized jar. Something that's nice to do is set your stuff up on a mirror. I don't know if you've ever tried that. That's kind of fun. You know, then you've got this reflection of the object, or you can just kind of paint in a reflection of the object, and that can be nice too. So I do this a lot of times when I'm painting the top of a jar. I will go across like this just to get that shape in. And there's a lot of ways we could have started this. I could have toned the canvas. I could have put a whole dark wash on the canvas and wiped out. I've heard it said that if you're painting yellow, I've heard it said you should start with that first. And I think the reason behind that is so it's really clean. This one comes way down. But again, just be loose, keep it loose, so you know, as long as you can, so you don't commit to anything. All right, that's enough of a sketch. And we could, you know, again, to keep our yellows really nice and clean, you know, I could come in here and wipe this off. I'm going to try to squint like I always do, and this one's really glowing, this whole flower, and then part of this one, and a little few tips of that one. So it doesn't really matter. Like I said, I'm an oil painter. These are water mixable oils, and I typically work dark to light, thin to thick. I'm going to take some ultramarine blue and some Indian yellow, which is a very dark green, and I'm going to put in those dark greens that I see here between my blooms. But I say this over and over, I consider myself an impressionist, so I'm not going to want to get real picky with these flowers. I want them to be loose. Using a big brush, as you can tell, it's pretty good size. There's my thumb in comparison. And we'll see how long we stay with it. I don't really know. And I'm going to lay these greens in dark, and I can come over them with like cad yellow medium and just kind of lay it on top and do some lighter greens. Still working on paintings in my town. I mentioned that before. I think I've got about 10 right now. Just having fun. Went up to town the other day and painted. Been rainy, so it's a little difficult to get out between the rain. Just don't overanalyze. I mean, do I know everything I'm seeing in this dark area? No, it's confusing, and I'm not going to explain it all. But like I said, some areas of like I can see this stem pretty well, so I took some cad yellow medium and we're putting it right on top. It blends in with the green that's here. And I usually get some palette knife into flowers when I'm doing flowers, so we probably will at some point. All right. We'll go back to that first dark mixture, which was ultramarine and transparent red oxide, and we're going to just make sure, block it in kind of where the middle of the flower kind of is. That's the only center I can see. I can actually see a little bit of the middle, which is a little lighter. I think what we'll do now is we'll shift to the flowers, but we're going to do the darkest part that we see first. I'm going to clean my brush. I don't usually do that so early in the game, but we're dealing with yellows and they're so easy to muddy up. So I paint a lot, so I don't, a lot of times I'll go quite a while before I thoroughly clean my brush. Matter of fact, I'm pulling pink out of it from the other day because I toned in pink. Because I paint so often, I wash them out at the end of the session somewhat with water, and then I put them in a Ziploc bag. And that's what I do, and they stay okay. And every once in a while, of course, I clean them really thoroughly with brush soap. And all right, I think what we'll do, we're going to pre-mix some yellows. I laid out a nice pile of Cad Yellow Medium, which actually, you know, is a very, very, very close to the color of the flower, just as it is. So I'm squinting and looking. You know, all this is catching light, and really this whole flower is pretty bright except underneath it. This one back here, just the tips. So I'm going to try to do 3 values still though. I'm going to put a little white in some of it and pull it. We'll see how that goes. It may, you know, it may make it too chalky, but we're going to try that. I'm going to even mix, I'm going to try a little Cad Red in a pile, pull it a little orangey. Just want to get a little variety. You know, I can do what I want. It's my painting. I'm going to put a little, I'm trying to pull some a little darker, so I'm going to put a little ultramarine, which pulls it, of course, green. And maybe we'll try a little transparent red oxide just to warm it back up a little bit. Yep. All right. I'm going to work with this big brush. This is the darkest color. And we're going to go back here because this one isn't catching much light. Just the tips. And I can't really see a whole lot of this flower back here. Like I said, again, underneath here is a little darker, so we'll use some of that where it's away from the light. You know, I use a Warm and Cool of Each primary, but yellow ochre, I don't have it on here, but that's a nice color too. Maybe you use that. I said so much of this one is also catching light. That color's a little more orangey. Just playing around. But I tend to block flowers in as just a big mass. You know, and like I said again, we'll probably come back with a palette knife at the very, very end. Get some texture in here. Of course, I can lay it on pretty heavy with this brush, as you can see. I mean, I kind of am, you know, painting petals, but again, with the brush being so big, it's hard to control. Like I said, a few of these little tips are catching light too. I think what we'll do now is we're going to mix up something dark and paint the background. And I see some dark in this jar too, because it's through there. And then we can cut some of that dark into here too. So let's mix up. I'm going to save this yellow though, we're not done with that. Some ultramarine and some transparent red oxide. It's kind of my go-to dark. And there is somewhat of a shadow behind, so let's go after the darkest part we see there first. It's pretty dark in there. Both, a couple, well not both, I have 3 grandsons, 2 of them right now are out west. One of them flew out on Sunday with his Boy Scout troop to Montana, and gonna hike all over the place. They're staying at a cabin one night and then hiking 4 days in a row, and I don't know, it's a worry. And he don't even like hiking, but he's doing it. So anyway, then he's 17, and then the 20-year-old, the oldest, him and his girlfriend made a trip. They're out west, just the 2 of them, all over the place out there for a month. I just heard from them yesterday, and they picked up a puppy someplace. They're bringing home a dog. They're in college, you know. I said, can you take... He said, it's mostly hers, so I guess her parents know about it, the girlfriend, and I said, can you take that dog to school with you? He said next year, so I guess their junior year, they're doing, I don't know. So I guess her parents agreed to it. So I worry, you know, I worry about bears. God. Hopefully they're not interested in a bunch of stinky teenage boys, right? Yeah, this over here is darker. Now we're going to lighten this up some with some white. I'm looking inside the jar is dark, but not like that. Top of the water is a really pretty color. I do have some phthalo on here. I usually put phthalo on here for these jars. So we're gonna, out in here, of course it's lighter. It's a little warmer too, so let's warm it up a little bit. How's that look to us? I think it could be a little lighter. And we didn't tone. Okay, so we'll cut into some of these flowers while we're painting in this background. Sold my cow from last time that I painted on here. I thought he came out real nice. You have to look for me on like Facebook where I posted him, because I did do a few adjustments after I quit filming. I usually do. I think mostly with his eyes. I do have a little bit of that gel medium on here. dark color in here so I can vary the background. All right, let's look at the jar now. Like I say, I did put some phthalo blue on here because I really love it for these ball jars. It's just a beautiful color. You just have to be careful with it. It's very powerful. I'm going to try to stay with this big brush as long as we can. The top of the water is just this, again, a beautiful shade of maybe I'll pull a little more green. Up here on the top, where the rings of the jar are, it's pretty dark except the little rings are catching light. So again, for me, it's always a lesson in trying to paint what I see. I mean, try that. Try to teach yourself to do that first. Like I said, I think the first part of an artist's career is spent learning to paint things, you know. Okay, I'm trying to look and see what I see. And it comes down to, you know, where the fabric in the back runs across. And of course that's lighter. And through the jar it's lighter, but the base gets darker again. We'll clean those stems up. We kind of lost them, and they come down, you can see them, and they're fairly bright. I say we may even use a little palette knife. And then it gets lighter in here. very bottom is fairly dark. And then of course we're going to want to, you know, ground it. And there's a shadow. Still using this big brush, and it's big. Let's, I'm going to get out one of my liner brushes, but this one's kind of ratty, a little hard to control, which is good. And we're going to go up and put those little ribs, little ridges on the top of this. Let's see what we can do with that. And as I look over there, they're pretty light. Let's see what we can see here. We'll work our way up. Say we may even turn this upside down just to check make sure it's symmetrical at some point if I feel I need to. That edge to be soft. It's feeling pretty good. I may have to come back on the lettering with, I don't know, a little brush later and add highlights. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. We can always wipe it off. Thunder. All right, let's just move on. Let's put some color on the bottom here, and then we'll go back to the blooms. How are we doing? No, it's only 40 minutes. That's not bad. We're doing okay. Like I said, I don't see it because we're on fabric, but you can, you know, kind of suggest a reflection, just pointing this out if you like the idea of that. I don't know that I'm doing that, I'm just saying that to you. Probably not, but this is getting kind of dirt muddied up over here because of the dark color. But as I look at that, I'm getting some really pretty bright light right here. Let's see how we feel about that. I don't know. They're really bright. You get some cool effects from light coming through glass. Just something to look for. Yeah, I don't know if I care for that or not. But we are going to have what I'm kind of seeing as I look is kind of a like that. So we'll decide how we feel about it. Those though, I want that a little brighter. Yeah, it's thundering out there. All right, let's go back and look at our flowers again. I think we're going to brighten up our stems. yellow now. I want it to feel green. A lot of unusual things going on. You know, sunflowers. I think what we'll do is we're going to try to go to our palette knife now. I might have to get out more yellow. Doing a lot of, when you're doing sunflowers, you go through a lot of yellow. Bear with me here, I'm going to have to move you a second. Should have been more prepared, huh? All right, come on back. Sorry about that. See, I think we'll start out, I may want to even go a little lighter, we'll see. Ooh, there's lightning. So I think what we'll do is, now let's see if we can get something even lighter yet. See if we like that when it's all said and done. little yellow down on the jar because I always like reflected color. You know, and you could lay a few petals on the table. That would be nice too. I do that sometimes. We stay with this big brush, you know, most of the painting. I feel as though this could come out a little more. I think I don't know if we need it, but we'll kind of make sure this is grounded. Put a little bit of darker color down here. Might have gotten some of these bands a little close, you know. Hear the thunder? It's a nice sound. Actually, I like it better when you don't see definite stems. I kind of like it when sometimes I'll just shove a bunch of stuff in there, fresh flowers, and you get leaves in there and everything, and that can be kind of nice too. So let's kind of blend that a little bit. Sure it's dark enough. Now that should be lighter. All right, we're about there, I think. I don't like a hard edge between your foreground and your background. And it's a little difficult when the color is so dark and the foreground is so light, but trying to get back from it. Make sure that's, I always, you know, I don't want to say I always struggle, but to me it's always important that the top of the jar feels symmetrical, so, you know, I mess with that a little bit. That's too light of value over there. Alright, and so much of the lip of this one is, it's under this leaf and you can't see it. I'm sure there'll be something I'll change after I get off of here. There usually is. And you can see I've kept this loose and a lot of texture, and this petal came up on top of the jar and I like that, so I went with that. I think maybe this leaf would read better if it was dark, because it's kind of hidden under that flower. Not really catching much light. Only thing I may not be happy with, and I'm not sure, you know, I've got boom, boom, boom on these stems, which they are, but you know, I may not like them. I may want to suggest another stem or just muss them up, you know. I don't want that catching your eye. You know, and all this is behind a glass jar too. You got to keep that in mind. Whatever is inside the jar is behind the glass, so keep adjusting that because it's pretty light over there. All right, I'll stand up and show it to you. Find me again on Facebook, Barbara Pask Fine Art. That way, if I do make adjustments to it, you can see what I did to it. You know, you can see the final painting that way. I'm looking at it. I can see these are little things, but I feel as though like I'm going to want to cut into here and create a few petals here. I just think that might improve it, because that's what I'm seeing over there. I want a soft edge there. I've said it before, but there's a saying, you know, it takes two artists to do a painting, one to paint it and one to tell them when to quit. Sometimes it is hard to know when to quit. All right, let me I'll get out of here and we'll show it to you. Like and subscribe, please, if you haven't. It's taking forever, but I've been trying to get up to 1,000, and we'll give away a painting. All right. This is where it is. Again, you can see some of that texture on the flowers. I like the texture on flowers. I mean, flowers are three-dimensional, and okay, now I'm looking at it, your view, and seeing maybe. I have to look at it. You know how it is. I'll show you the setup. Let me turn the light off. Maybe you can see it better. Crank you down a little bit. So that's pretty much the view. See how the stems are? And I'm not sure how I feel about it. I kind of blended them out. But there it is. All right, my impression of the flowers. Thank you for joining me. This was just an hour, not bad. And again, please like and subscribe. And if you hit the notification bell underneath, then it will tell you when I upload a new video. All right, you take care. Thanks for joining me. Have a nice night.